Alright, good afternoon, guys. I was trying to wait a bit so more people can join, but I think we'll just get started now. It's kindly confirmed that you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Alright, so thank you to everyone who attempted the assignments. Your hard work will pay off. Um, Let me share my screen real quick so that we can cover significant ground today. To share window, to share tab. Why are you doing this to me? Please note down to share. Sorry. Please no, it was last week. What's going on? And let me just share like that. Alright, so Israel told me that in the last class we stopped at loops and list comprehensions. Is that correct? Okay, did you finish it or were you halfway into it or where did you stop? Did you finish list and list comprehensions? Alright, that's lovely. You guys should feel free to unmute and speak actually. There's no problem. So today let's look at strings and dictionaries. Strings and dictionaries. There are two fundamental types in Python. Now, a string is usually enclosed by quotation marks, as you would see. So one place where Python language really shines is in the manipulation of strings. Now, let's look at some string methods and formatting operations. And these string manipulations and formatting usually comes up in the context of data science work. You do a lot of string formatting. Okay, especially if you want to major in NLP. NLP is natural language processing, where LLMs are a subfield of NLP. So all these large language models like ChatGPT, Anthropic, Cloud, Mistral, they are all under language models and they are a subfield of natural language processing. Okay, so moving forward, we all know what a syntax is. Syntax are basic rules and guidelines you have to adhere to when writing a programming language. So we've seen plenty of strings in examples from the previous lessons. But just to recap, Python strings can be defined either by using single or double quotation marks, and they are functionally equivalent. And you know that, yes, if you have what they are saying here is that here you have Pluto is a planet and with single quotation marks. It's the same thing as Pluto is a planet with double quotation marks. It's the same thing. So yeah, they are doing that Boolean operation to come to check is x equal to y and the result is true. But what will not work is if you are using a single quotation mark with a double quotation mark, you will get an error because you are not following Python syntax. Now, double quotes are convenient if your string contains a single quotes character. Similarly, it is easy to create a string that contains double quotes if you wrap it in single quotes. So now, what happened here is that here you see Pluto's a planet. This apostrophe here still showed in between Pluto and S. But here, they said my dog name is Pluto. So now you see that they use single quotation mark, but the Pluto they made it um double. Sorry, they use single quotation marks here, but the Pluto they made it double quotation mark so that they can highlight and emphasize that the name of the dog is Pluto. Okay. But if you try to put a single quote character inside a single quoted string, Python gets confused. So here now, Pluto's a planet. Python is wondering what's going on. See how we did it here before. We used double quotation mark. But here where you use single because it says a single quotation mark and it's wondering what's going on. So this is what he highlights as a string. So now this one here does not have the opening string because this is a closing string. That's why it returns the syntax error telling you invalid syntax. Now we can fix this by escaping the single quote with a backlash. The backlash. Now this backlash is an escape sequence in Python. Okay, do you have some here? So we're escaping that single quote with a backlash. So now that we put this backlash here, you will see that it will run successfully without throwing an error. Saying Pluto's a planet. Okay, so now this table summarizes some important uses of the backlash character. This backlash character, let me, can you see my current screen where there is collab? Can you see my screen that's showing collab? Collab. All right. So now, anywhere you see that backlash on something, most of, it's called an escape sequence. They are trying to escape something. I'll get an error. I didn't want to run that. I just want to go to the next one. Let me time. All right. So what? Let me change this to Markdown. So I just did Control So they are called escape um sequences. So we have backslash and this is backslash or forward slash backslash and we have don't change it now. We have backslash R. I think that's carried return. We have backslash T. That is tab. Down we have. Am I thinking there's one very important one I'm forgetting right now? And R T. Alright, well, commonly the one you encounter the most is this backslash n, which is used to signify new line or escape when you're using string operations. So now these are some examples. So if we type what's up, so you see that we have this two, but now it's saying escape this. Don't read this as a closing string for this. That's why it's escaping this and is returning what's up. Now where you see this that's cool. So here now we have that, and here it's saying that escape this and this. So this will be the closing strings. So it returns that's cool. And here we have look a mountain. So it's saying that this is a backslash to forget this guy. So that's why we have look a mountain. Then here we have new line. So after this one on a new line write 2 and 3. That's what's going on. So after the one on a new line is writing 2 and 3. Yeah, like I mentioned, this backslash n is an escape sequence that represents the new line character and it causes Python to start a new line. So here we have hello world, and when it prints hello, see what it returns hello and world on a new line. Okay, so in addition to Python's triple quotes for syntax strings, let us include new lines literally. Writing enter on our keyboard rather than using the special new line sequence. We've already seen this in doc strings we use to document our functions, but we can use them anywhere to define a string. Okay, so now what happened here is that they are saying that rather than using the new line escape sequence, you can actually use triple quotes, and that is what is going to happen. So let's run it. Let me comment this out first. But you have to space them. Let's see what happens if you use only double quotes. Get a syntax error. So you have to use triple quotes. Okay. Now the print function automatically has a new line character unless we specify a value for the keyword argument end other than the default value of new line. So what it's saying is that this print function by default, the print function is like this. You won't see it, but it has a default parameter that is end equals to backslash n. These are the prints is, but you won't see this because this is the default um argument of the print function. But what we are saying now is that you can modify this. So what that means is that if I do print um 5 and print 7, so it's printed on different lines. Why are they not printed on the same line? So if you want to change that, print 5 and seven. So you see that I printed 57. Let me this space. So now it's printing 5 and 7. It didn't print on a new line again because I changed that default argument from new line to space. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to interject me or raise your hand. It can be quite tricky the first time. Okay. So now that's the same thing that they did here. They just changed it. So may I use 5 and 7, but here they use strings. They used Hello and Pluto. I see that Hello and Pluto were printed on the same line instead of on new lines. Okay. So it's important to know in Python that strings are sequences, and strings can be thought of as sequence of characters. Almost everything we've seen that we can do to a list, we can do to a string. So Israel took you guys through um list on Saturdays, and you must have done list indexing. So the same way you can index lists is the same way you can index a string. So now remember Python is zero indexed. So now we have this variable planet given the value Pluto. Now what is the first index? What is the first character of planet? It returns P because Python is zero index. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you slice it now, they are saying return the last. What this is saying is return only the last three. Remember in your let me define a list. Any list equals um let me see who are the people in the class. How do I copy their names? Olamide, Blessing, King, Benuli, David. Here's a quick refresher. Olamide, Blessing, King, um, Benuli, David. Okay, so if I return any list, now if I want to return just the any list, if I want to return the last element in the list, I just put -1. So return David. Okay, but it's faster than, because if you use this when you don't know the amount of elements in a list, because now this is easy to know that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 people. I remember Python is 0 index, so it will be 4. And then list 4 is David. But when you have a list with, I don't know the amount of elements in that list, if you want to return the last element in that list, just use -1. All right. Now we have, they gave us what's the name of that? Okay, planet equals to Pluto. All right. Now planets -1 to return O. So the list and strings are sequence types in Python. They follow a sequence, and therefore they can, similar operations can be performed on both of them. So almost everything you can do to a list, you can do it to a string. And now same thing, if I want to, if I do that any list, return the last 3. So it will return David, Benuli, and King. King, Benuli, and David. Right? Now the same thing, return for planets, return the last 3. And it's returned UTO. So that's what essentially is saying. So how long is now? I think Israel must have told you what the len character does. So this will tell you how many characters are in planets. 5. Same thing if you check then any lists to tell you that there are 5 elements in that list too. Okay. So, and yes, you can also list over strings, just like you can do for um you can also loop over strings, just like you can do for loops. And this is an example. So what they are saying, uh, um so you guys are good with this comprehension, right? Israel taught it in the last class. So I'm seeing you guys don't have access to the chat. So please feel free to unmute and talk to me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I,
we
I
can.
can.
All right, so I was asking that, please, do you understand these comprehensions?
For me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anyone? Okay, is there anyone on the call who doesn't understand? All right, let's move on. So what this is saying is that the way you write this in conventionally, um, let me take this and let me just explain it to fulfill the righteousness. Normally, the way you write this is for char in planets, char plus exclamation mark. right? But now in this comparison is the same thing, but this will just confess child plus for child planet. So it's a faster way, it's computationally faster, and in terms of refactoring and clean code, this is a more accepted practice of writing code than this. When you can use list comprehension, use them, but if you can't, there's no problem. So now, you see that it will return the same thing. Planet is what again? Pluto is active. So then now return planet. What's going on? Okay, I didn't define any variable. But basically, that's what will happen if you do this. I didn't define any variable, that's why. But that is the explanation, that's what is going on. So now to all the characters in Pluto, in planet rather, which is Pluto, they added exclamation mark to it. That is simply what it does. Now, but as much as strings and lists are similar, and you can perform similar operations on both of them, the major difference is that a list is, sorry, a string is immutable. By immutable, we mean we can't edit it like lists. All right, that's why it's immutable. So now, if in my any list now, if I want to add somebody, um, let me return an list first. So if I say any list, um, 3, or let me put there 5, 6 equals to Jane, I return any list. Sorry, 5. Enjoy. I didn't want to remove David, but anyhow. So any lists, I meant to use append actually, so that we add it to the end of the list. But anyhow, but here you see that I've edited this list. I removed David and brought in Jane. But you can't do that for your list. Um, planets dot um we thrown an error. String object does not support item assignments, so it doesn't work. You can't mute, you can't edit a string just like you can edit a mute. So the two major differences between a mute, I said a mute, between a string and a list is that strings are immutable while lists are mutable. And you cannot use the dot append function. Now the dot append, if I do any list dot append David, let me add David back. Then I call any list. See that David is now back. But you cannot append to a list. So planet dot append, we get an error. Pluto, a linear, you get an error. String object has no attribute append. That's because it isn't mutable. Or yes, it's immutable. That's the major difference. So now, what are string methods? Methods are functions of a class, and a string is a class in Python, right? So now, what are some functions you can perform on strings? We have the dot upper, we have the dot lower, and just like the name implies, is as intuitive as that. Claim dot upper turns everything in this variable to capital, and claim.lower turns everything to lowercase. Then we have claim.index to search for the first index of a substring. Remember, planet, sorry, claim is a difference. Pluto is a planet, so they are looking for the index of plan, a substring plan. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And yes, I'm counting the space in between because the space is also a character in Python, so it's counted. How do I do this? So remember they said claim is equal to Pluto is a planet, right? So now P is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Space is 8, A 9, space 10, then P is what? 11. So claim 11. P. Or if you want to check claim dots index plan. So, amendments, is it square brackets? Circle. So that's much. It's parentheses. So that's because the P starts from 11. Okay. Then this is, does claim start with planet? True. Does claim end with planet? False. And it's false only because of the wait. Does claim starts with planet? Is it because they said planet is Pluto before? Alright. Run it for yourself and see. Let me add the exclamation mark here. False. That exclamation mark in my definition. I did it. So you see that even the exclamation mark is a character. So if I remove that, it's false. But if I include it, it's true. Alright, these are basic simple things. So these are, we're looking at some methods. Hey, we will be able to enter dictionary now. I'm not sure we'll be able to enter dictionary, but let's continue. So going between strings and lists, dot splits and dot join methods. String dot splits turns a string into a list of smaller strings, breaking on white space by default. This is super useful for taking you from one big word, so like from one big string to a list of words. So now from that our claim, we have claim dot split. So you see that he splitted all of them by, and what is splitting by is space. This space, this space, this space. That's what he used to split all of them by default. They use a space. You can change that. You can change this default splitting operation to comma or whatever you decide, depending on your use case. Okay. Then occasionally you want to split something on something else rather than white space. So here we have a date string. So date string equals to date 2024. Let me write it 09 09 2024. I can do date string the split by Hidden zeros. Oh, int does not have. Oh, give me. So now here is, remember here is splitted by space, but here is splitting by the dash symbol. So you can specify what you want it to split it by. Now, join is the opposite of split. It's telling us to join these things together. So it's sewing a list of strings up together in one log string. Using the string it was called on as a separator. Okay. Animal work. So let me just explain this. So here, remember we did but the split is so here. Please, were you guys taught simultaneous assignments?
Oh,
Okay. So let me touch on that real quick. So simultaneous assignment is the process of assigning something simultaneously. So if you have x equals to 7, y equals to 5, x times y would give you 35, right? So rather than doing that, we can do x, y equals to 7, 5. So now if I do x, y to return 7 and 5. Now if I do x, y equals to y, x, what do you think happens? If I do this, what do you think happens? So it just swaps. So x will now become 5 instead of 7 because we are swapping x with the value of y. So x will become 5 instead of 7, y will become 7. Now if I print x, y, you will see it's now 5 and 7. So that's what's going on here. So here they simply use simultaneous assignment. So whatever is placed to the first assign it to here, the second one assign it to months, and the 31st assign it to day. That's what's going on here. So now they're now saying now join this thing back using the month, day, and here. And let's what is separating them be this backward slash or backslash. So that's why we have this. And yes, you can use Unicode characters to join them. So here, what they are saying is use this character to join every word and make them uppercase. Word dot upper for words in words and join it with this clapping emoji or Unicode character. All right, now you can building strings with you can concatenate strings together with the addition operator. The addition operator. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Planet, which is what is return the value of this variable, which is Pluto, plus we miss you. So it returns everything like that. Pluto, we miss you. That's what it does. So if you want to throw in any non-string objects, you have to be careful to call string on them first. So now we have position is 9. This 9 is not a string, is a what? It's an integer. So we have to be careful. We have to change the data type to an integer. And how do we do that? We simply use str. So if I do string 9, a equals to string 9. If I put a, you see that is in string. Is a string. All right. So planet plus you always be the ninth planet to me. Can only concatenate string, not integer. So you when you're concatenating, you must make sure that what you're concatenating is a string data type. So now you see now that they put string and position. So turn that 9 to a string and it works perfectly. Pluto, you would always be the concatenate again. Night concatenates planets to me. Now that is getting annoying to read and type. So that is where the format comes in. This is where format comes to the rescue. So here you have this poly brackets or squiggly brackets. Then you always be the squiggly bracket planet to me. Then you format using the planet and position. So this first squiggly bracket will be your planets. This second squiggly bracket will be your position. So Pluto, it will always be the ninth planet to me. The planets Pluto and the position 9 for the other squiggly bracket. So you see that that is much cleaner and it's much easier to read. So we use the formats on the format string where the Python values you want to insert are represented with these squiggly bracket placeholders. So notice that we didn't even have to call the string position. So even convert um, the integer to string using the format because that format function takes care of that for us already. So if that was all format did, it would still be incredibly useful, but it can do a whole lot more. And here's just an example. So we have this variable Pluto mass, which is given the value of 1.303 times 10. Remember this exponentiation operator times 10 raised to the power 22. Then we have the earth mass, which is 5.9722 times 10 raised to the power 24. And the population is about 5 billion, 5,291,000,000. It's this is 52,910,390 people. So now what is saying, like this comment is telling us is that 2 decimal points, 3 decimal points, format as percent, separate with commas. So now the first one, Pluto mass, which will be the value of this, weighs about, now you're formatting this to 2 decimal points. And it's simply done by using a colon, then a dot, then put 2. That's why these 2 decimal points. Pluto weighs about this value. Um, planets, Pluto mass weighs about this value in kilograms, and 3% of the Earth's mass. It is home to, this is now the population, Plutonians. So now, is this getting a bit complex? So you have the planets, which will take this first placeholder. You have the Pluto mass, will be we are formatted to 2 decimal place. Then you have Pluto mass divided by Earth mass, which will be equivalent to this placeholder of the Earth mass. So, and you will now have the total population of Plutonians. So the answer is Pluto. Pluto weighs about 1 point, Pluto mass 1.3 times 10 raised to the power 22 kilograms, which is 0.218% of Earth mass. Because we have Pluto mass divided by Earth mass in 3 decimal place in percentage, which is 0.218% of the Earth's mass, and it is home to about 52,910,390 Plutonians. Okay, so now referring to format arguments by index starting from 0. S is Pluto is a 0. No, it's a 1. 0, 1. So formats planet and dwarf planet. So Pluto is a 0 is what? Planet. No, is a dwarf planet. One. Planet. Dwarf. So this is like a simulation of an argument between two people. Pluto is a planet. No, is a dwarf planet. Planet, dwarf planet. So this is a simulation. So you are just using this. This is showing you the many use cases of the format function, essentially. So this is another use case. And you can do a lot by going to the official docs, which I encourage you to do. So let me open this in a new tab so you see how it looks like. Python string formatting. So you see a lot of examples that I can just go through on different beautiful things you can do with the formats function. All right. So I think that's what we'll stop for today. Then in our next class, we'll look at dictionaries. But just to give you a quick insight, a dictionary stores key and values. Key and values. And one of the first examples that I saw about it was if you have here, you have a year, abi. Let's say we have a year that is equal to a dictionary. And a dictionary is initialized by quickly squiggly brackets. So we have this first month of the year is what? January. That is a key value pair. Second month of the year is what? February. So now if I return here, what do you get? 1 January to February. Shall we put new line? What am I doing? But basically, this is the key and the value. So if I do year 1, it will return the value which is January. If I do year 2, return the value which is February. What is the second month of the year? It will return February. What is the first month of the year? It will return January. So that's what the dictionary does for you. It stores key and value pairs. Key, one is the key, and the value is always after the column and the value. Okay, so hopefully Israel will do a lot of justice to that in the next class. So please, does anyone have any question? Does anyone have any question? Please feel free to unmute and ask me. All right, in the absence of question, your assignment will be to practice the string exercises in this exercise part. So don't forget um you first run this, and when you come here, check the lengths. Let's start with string lighting one of. What is the length of the strings below? For each of the 5 strings, predicts what length would return when passed to the string. Use variable length to record your answer. It is okay. It's okay. So I want to confirm that these don't have dictionaries. Okay, so please perform all the answer the questions from OA to number 2. So do from the beginning to number 2. You can leave number 3. So do from OA to number 2. Okay. All right. So thank you guys very much for joining. Abdurrahman, you can ask your question.
So yeah, this assignment you gave us now, or exercise you gave us now, would this be the assignment too we have to paste into the Google form?
No, no, it's not. The first assignments are on the lists, the first two classes we had.
Okay, so
So this will be
lists
the
and
assignment 3.
okay,
The
okay,
first one would have been the arithmetic and variables and lists, these two.
okay, okay, okay.
So this one now
Thank
will
you.
be 3. All right,
Okay, thank you very much.
no problem. Okay, so see you guys. Israel will see you guys on Friday. Have a lovely week ahead. Bye bye.
Yeah, sorry again. The form submission. What's the deadline, please?
For this assignment,
No, the previous form.
and let me on Friday we'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.